Oh, there we
Cool.
go.
Yeah, I think we're live.
We
Great. Well,
are.
welcome everyone. We're so excited about this event today. My name is Katie Franco. I'm the executive director with Girl Develop It, and looking forward to having an amazing conversation. I'll give it a minute to make sure that we're loaded properly.
Wow, people are right on time. Well done.
Yeah. We'll maybe give it another minute here. I see about 30 folks in, so we'll see. We'll give it a couple seconds.
And I always like to ask when I do workshops, where are people calling in from? If you want to put it in the chat, where are you guys coming from? I'm in Boston, Massachusetts. I don't know if anyone else is in Boston.
For East Coast, I'm up in Vermont, so feel free.
Katie's going to go skiing after this.
Yeah, I wish. It's that kind of snow, I could.
Raleigh, LA, Chicago, nice. New York City. Jada, I will be in New York City in a few months. That's my next move.
Nice.
Mexico, nice. Ooh, Cassandra's in Boston.
Tampa.
Philly. What part of Boston, Cassandra? Teresa too. Worcester. Somerville, nice. Quincy, it's okay. You're my neighbor. I'm in Dorchester.
Nice.
Wow, someone's in India. What time is it in India? Just curious. LA, Denver. Wow. It's cool. You have people all over the world.
Yeah, we love it. Oh, did you see it's 1:30 a.m. in India?
Wow. Good evening to you.
Good morning.
Or morning, I don't know. Dealing with a snowstorm in Chicago.
Ooh.
That's coming this way, I think.
Yeah, it is.
I saw my weather app said it's going to snow tonight here.
All right, well, should we get going, Christina?
Yeah, we can get started.
Great. Well, I'll do a quick welcome. Again, my name is Katie Franco. If you've just joined us, I'm the executive director at Girl Develop It. We are a nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide accessible, welcoming, and affordable training in tech for women and non-binary individuals. And we're so excited for so many folks to join us today on this call. We serve folks from all over the country and the world, which is even more exciting to see some of our friends from India and Mexico joining us on this call. We are virtual this year. If you haven't seen us in a while, we're all virtual. We've been going virtual since last year for reasons we all understand, but we're really excited to be able to provide opportunities like this one with our partners at ALCO to everyone today. The one thing we do ask everyone is just why we're together in the space, that we're sharing the space and this time together, that we're respectful, and we operate by our code of conduct, which is make sure we give everyone space and respect while we're together. And if we have any issues or problems, please let me know. But we are, again, beyond excited. This topic of LinkedIn profiles has come up so much for us this year when we've been talking about careers and folks getting ready to take what they've been learning through GDI classes and others and leverage them into opportunities. We've talked a lot about how to do that and how to represent and how do we show our work and even our creativity. So when ALCO, we were connected to ALCO by one of our amazing instructors. We started talking about the opportunity to really kind of help folks build up their LinkedIn profile. And I said, of course, yes, please, we'd love this topic. And we can see by so many folks showing up today that this is a really hot topic. So I'm really excited to introduce Christina Costa today. She is the career and team lead at ALCO. And over the last 15 months, she's coached over 300 folks into their technical careers at ALCO. And she's also a career coach on the side and wears about 1 million other hats. So I'm gonna let Christina tell you about all those hats and all the wonderful things she does and take it over. So thanks, Christina.
Thank you so much, Katie. And hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Wherever you guys are. And I'm really, really excited to be here with you guys. So I'm going to share my screen. And just so you know, I generally like to engage my audience. So if you guys have questions throughout the presentation or you want me to clarify something or repeat something, please feel free to do so in the chat. I'll be checking the chat the whole seminar, so I will be checking this through. And just so you know too, I will be doing this a workshop style presentation. So it's going to be us actually getting some work done together in this session. So make sure that you are logged into your LinkedIn profiles because we're going to be doing some work together in this session. Before I introduce myself, I want to just tell you a little bit about Outco. So Outco is a 4-week job accelerator program where we train job-seeking engineers on the technical interview process. So my side of the program, I work on the career development side. So I help engineers with their communication, being able to pitch themselves, building their network, helping them with their negotiation, all that type of the interview process. The other side of the program helps the technical interview side of the program, helps with data structures, algorithms, computer science fundamentals, whiteboarding practice, algorithm reviews, all the things that you need to really pass and actually not just pass, but excel at the job search as an engineer. So as you can see, we have helped over 2,000 engineers since 2015 land roles at all types of companies throughout the world. And our classes are available in both East Coast time and Pacific West Coast time. So if you are interested and you are on the job search and you could use some additional training, be sure to check us out. All right, now a little bit about me. Katie mentioned some of the things that I do, but I am also a career coach. On top of being a career coach at Outco, I also do my own career coaching. I called Christina Costa Coaching. I previously have worked in several different tech companies, as you can see here. Some of these are kind of the well-known ones. I started my career working at PayPal in advertising. I then went on to work as a consultant at HubSpot. From there, I actually worked in customer success at Drift. So you may recognize some of these names, but essentially my mission is to just help more and more people get the jobs and earn the jobs that they deserve. And one of the big ways of doing that right now, especially since we are in a virtual world, pandemic, we can't go out and meet people, we can't go to networking events, we can't go to conferences anymore. So your LinkedIn profile is essentially your professional face online. It's really, really important to have a robust LinkedIn profile that talks a lot about your skills, that gives detail, that uses specific keywords, that has professional looking photos, right? All of these things are going to give recruiters or hiring managers or whoever it is looking at your profile, it's going to make you look professional. And of course, you want to give a good impression. So let's get started. So optimizing your LinkedIn profile for technical recruiters. Oh, before we do that, quickly just do this poll. Take a quick second, fill out this poll. And then I'll dive right in. Hillary, no worry that you're late. No worries. We haven't started yet, so. All right, we have a few more people to take the poll and then I will move forward with the presentation. All right. So first and foremost, what is the purpose of LinkedIn? What do you guys think? You can write it in the chat. Why do we use LinkedIn? What's the point? Networking, build professional network. Nice, okay, sweet. Online resume and networking, cool. So LinkedIn is a social network that focuses on professional networking and career development, right? You can use LinkedIn for a variety of reasons. Number one, building your professional network. Number two, searching for and finding career opportunities and job openings. Number three, enhancing your professional brand and reputation online. Number four, finding new companies and learning more about these companies. Learning professional skills, right? There's a lot of courses you can take now on LinkedIn for free. But most importantly, connect, right? It's a platform built for us to connect, not only with one another, but with recruiters, hiring managers, or any other professionals in your industry, or maybe in another industry you want to learn more about. So you guys all got it right. The number one use of LinkedIn is to network. So with that being said, who do you think are the top 2 LinkedIn users in terms of job title? What do you guys think? Hillary got it. Yep, recruiters. All right, recruiters definitely is one. What's the second one? Job titles. Let's see. Number one is recruiters, right? They're looking for people like you to fill their job recs, right? And their job openings. And the second one is when I tell you guys, you're going to be like, oh, I should have got that. The second one is sales people, right? Because they're looking to sell their products to people like sell their products or services to people like you. I'm sure all of you have had multiple messages in your inboxes from both types of people, right? From recruiters and from salespeople trying to sell you something. Exactly. And these are just some fun facts I like to share about LinkedIn. So first and foremost, did you know LinkedIn has over 766 million members in 200 countries. So they're all over the world. 94% of recruiters use LinkedIn to find candidates. So if you're on the job search, your LinkedIn profile is very important. Number 3, there are 55 job applications submitted on LinkedIn every second. I think I did the math the other day. The other day was like 2.5 million applications a day. Number 4, the top soft skills companies need is creativity and innovation. And the top hard skill is cloud computing, which is essentially software engineering and development. So all of you in here are in that top hard skill sector. So that's great for the job search. Now, what I'm going to show you is quickly the tool that recruiters use on LinkedIn. So there's actually a LinkedIn recruiter tool specifically made for recruiters to use. It's called LinkedIn Recruiter, and it costs, actually, I'm curious, how much do you think it costs to have a subscription to this every year, to this tool? You can put it in the chat. What do you guys think? How much do you think it costs a year? 500, 2K, couple hundred, okay. $10,000 a year for this tool. So knowing that, that it's that expensive, do you think recruiters are using it? Definitely, right? I'm going to show you guys really briefly. Say, for example, in this example, a recruiter gets a job description. This is how recruiters use LinkedIn Recruiter. I'm going to show it to you guys. So the recruiter gets a job description. They're looking at a senior software engineer position. Let's say this is the role, right, at Adobe backend. Let's look at a little bit of the skills that you need to have for this role. And what are some keywords you think that a recruiter would be looking for when searching for potential candidates for this role? What do you guys think? Languages, frameworks. Okay, let's get more specific though. I see Java, I see Scala, I see C++, right? Cassandra, Redis, right? These are some of the things that I'm seeing, the keywords I'm seeing. DevOps, yep, exactly. All right, so what ends up happening, I'm gonna show you a quick video. I do not have LinkedIn Recruiter, I cannot afford it. But I'll show you a video of what it looks like on the back end. So essentially, on the back end, hopefully you all can see the video. So a recruiter would be looking for specific keywords, as we just mentioned, right? Then they'll create a Boolean string. So variations of different keywords, right? So let's say, for example, in this case, they're going to put in here Java, right? Senior backend engineer. They have 3,200 candidates that show up for those keywords. Now, if they want to be more specific, job titles, they can put in variations of backend engineering. So senior backend engineer. We'll put another variation in there so you can kind of see. Okay, so when you put just that variation, it's 227 candidates. Now, if you put senior backend engineer with no space, now you have 2,700 candidates. And these are some of the keywords that they're looking for, right? They're looking, seeing what profile kind of calls out to them. As you can see, a lot of this is random, very random. There's no science really. Like, why did they chose Amy? I don't know, right? So they're looking at Amy's profile. Let's take a look at her profile. Her profile she has a lot of information. She has a summary, good amount of experience, as you can see here. She has volunteer experience. She even has recommendations, right? So she's spent time on her profile. And then they're going to send her a message. And this is how recruiters use LinkedIn Recruiter. And then, just so you know, they create that Boolean string. That's the video. They do some outreach. They send you a message. And then they rinse and repeat. Take one more second. We have another poll. And also, I see someone asked a question. Do recruiters mark you if you don't respond to them, so that you don't come up in searches in the near future? You mean are you asking if they've reached out to you once and you haven't replied, do they put you on like a do not reply or do not reach out list or something? No, they won't do that. From my understanding, you're not able to do that, but I can double check. That's actually a really good question. From what I understand, that does not happen. All right, cool. So now you kind of got a little bit of insights as to how recruiters are using LinkedIn to find you, which is why keywords are so important on your profile. Just like you would use keywords on your resume to get through applicant tracking systems, the same thing on your LinkedIn profile, right? The great thing about LinkedIn is because it is a living, breathing document, you can have your keywords in there in multiple places, so that you do show up higher on the search rather than your resume. The way I like to think about LinkedIn and your resume is like a snapshot of your LinkedIn profile. Your LinkedIn profile has way more space for you to write a lot more information and give a lot more details, show a lot more value, right? All right. So let's first talk about keywords. So when it comes to keywords, there's actually this really cool website. It's free to use. I'll put it in the chat. It's called jobscan.co. And this website actually allows you to upload your resume or your LinkedIn profile and rank it against specific job descriptions. So maybe there's a job description that you're really interested in, and those are kind of the roles that you're looking for, and you want to see, okay, let's see how well my profile matches up with this job description in terms of keywords. You can actually use this website and it'll give you suggestions. It'll tell you, hey, maybe you should add this keyword more onto your profile or onto your resume to help you really stand out for this type of role. Oh, sorry, I sent it to all panelists and attendees. There, jobscan.co. And again, adding these keywords will allow your profile to rank higher on LinkedIn's SEO, right? It means you'll appear more in relevant searches. So with a little tweaking and rewording, your profile views can go up just by using this tool and having keywords strategically placed on your profile. I recommend using this tool after you've updated your LinkedIn profile, so that you could afterwards go in, okay, maybe I should use this keyword more. Cool. All right. So let's keep moving. So these are two examples of like pretty good LinkedIn profiles. What do you think about them? Like, what stands out about, let's say, Daniel's profile on the left? What stands out about his profile? What do you think makes it a good profile? So fonts, great picture, yep. So he has a very like professional looking picture. He has publications, exactly. He has articles and activities, right? So he has definitely spent a good amount of time on his LinkedIn profile. Accomplishments, exactly. What about the one on the right, Allison? What do we notice about her profile? Boring. A lot of words. Too much text. I always get that. That's always the response, especially from engineers. Too much text. So for me, her headline is a strong headline, right? It says empowering innovative solutions through customer-focused strategy. You kind of understand what she's all about. She has a clear photo, right? A good professional looking photo. Her about summary is robust. And actually, I really like her about summary because she has very clearly stated her specialties, like her technical, her skills, right? Very clearly bulleted out. These are my skills. And she's also told her story in her about summary. So we have to remember, this is not a resume. Your LinkedIn profile is not your resume. Your LinkedIn profile is your opportunity to tell people who you are and tell your story. Because I'll tell you one thing, if you have two candidates, one of them has a decent LinkedIn profile with not that much information. Another candidate has a profile like Allison's that tells their story, tells her values, what motivates her, how did she get her start in her role in her career. If you had those two profiles next to each other, the recruiter is most likely going to go with the one with more information because they get to learn more about the candidate from that profile. So don't think about LinkedIn summary as like your friends are going to read it. Think about what would you want recruiters or professional connections or potential hiring managers to see on your profile, right? Okay, cool. Somebody said you can attach your resume. Yeah, you can totally attach your resume. I'll show you some more examples of other profiles that do that. All right, so first things first. First impressions matter, right? Just like I coach a lot of engineers on their tell me about yourself pitch, because that is the most common interview question. So you need to be prepared for that. This is the same for a LinkedIn profile, right? The first thing someone sees on your LinkedIn profile is your header, your banner, and your picture, right? So your headline, your banner, and your picture. That's the first thing someone sees when they come to your LinkedIn profile, especially if they're not a connection yet, right? So first impressions really matter. If you have a selfie that's super grainy or has a million filters on it, and you have a headline that's not descriptive at all, that's not going to stand out, right? That's not going to make a good first impression. So we definitely want to choose a clear, friendly, and professional image. And your headline doesn't necessarily have to be your job title. Use that space. That's like prime real estate for keywords, right? Use that space to showcase your specialty, value proposition, and your so what. Let me look at the chat really quick. I don't post my picture. Ageism is real in tech. Unfortunately, it is very real in tech. But my counter to that would be, would you want to work at a company that's ageist? Right? If somebody's going to immediately not even look at your profile because you're older, like that's not somewhere you probably even want to work. Okay. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to help you guys build this part of your profile. So I'm going to give you some time to choose, if you don't have a photo now, no worries. You can take one later, and it does not have to be professional with a professional photographer or anything, as long as you have a solid background, preferably a white background, and you're wearing like a button-up shirt, right? And take a photo, that works. And your banner, just so you know, you can create your own banner image. I don't know if many of you have heard of Canva, but Canva is a great website where you can, canva.com, that you can use and they have hundreds, they actually have thousands of LinkedIn banner images if you want to just download one from there, if you want to create your own. So as we can see here, the example I have, Justin Nguyen, his photo is very clear. He looks really intense in his photo, but he is a speaker and a podcaster, and that's kind of his personality, right? As you can see, his headline is sharing the secrets to college, speaker and podcast host. So that's how he wants to be known on LinkedIn. Again, your headline is your opportunity to market yourself, how you want to be found and how you want to be seen on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you guys some time to do this. Let's take the next 5 minutes or so, and I want you, maybe I'll give you like 4 minutes, to update your profile photo, your banner, and think about your headline. So a really good formula for a headline is how you help people, maybe your job title, and that could be your headline. Or if you want to say, back-end engineer, and then maybe write a few of the tech stacks that you really want to be found for. That's something that you can use too, like back-end engineer, experienced in, Python, React, whatever it is, right? You can put those on your headline. One thing I recommend that you don't do is do not use your headline, especially if you're on the job search. Don't use your headline to say actively seeking full-time engineering position or something like that. Because for a few reasons, I'll give you the reasons. Number one, no recruiter is going to be searching for actively seeking full-time engineer. They're not going to be looking for that on for their keywords and their Boolean strings. They're going to be looking for specific tech stacks. They're going to be looking for specific skills or maybe even values, right, that align with their job description. So that's not going to help you in terms of your ranking. Number two, I've heard from many recruiters that I know that it makes you look really desperate to do that. And even having the open to work photo on your profile, I have been told by multiple recruiters that that's actually makes you look very desperate as well. If you are open to work, you can put on your settings on the back end that you're open to work, and all recruiters will be able to see that. Right? They will be able to see that you're open to work. So you want to use your headline as prime real estate to really think about how you want to be known on LinkedIn, right? What image do you want to give on LinkedIn? How do you want to define yourself on LinkedIn? Even in COVID times, the open to work photo. Okay, so I know some of you guys, I don't have an example of it here, but it's like a photo with, you can add like a frame to your photo that says open to work when you update your main photo. And I just recommend not adding that frame to your photo. And if you do have the frame on your photo right now, you can go in and remove it by clicking under edit profile in your LinkedIn. On your the top banner, there's like an edit profile button, and you can actually remove that frame. So Amy says, experience in HTML, CSS, JS. Should I have space between these slashes? Yep. So what I would do, I really like using the pipe, that vertical line. So you could say something like full stack engineer, vertical line, HTML, CSS, JS. Or if you want to say something like, you can say it all as one phrase, full-time engineer experienced in HTML, CSS, JavaScript, or something like that. You can write it that way. I would recommend using the vertical pipes versus slashes. Yeah, so definitely if you are job searching, definitely on the settings, in the settings on the back end, make sure you're open to work, but I would not put the open to work frame on your photo or say anything on your headline, like looking for positions in back-end engineering or something like that. I would not, I highly recommend you don't do that, because again, that's not what recruiters are going to be looking for. So think about how you want to be known. How do you help people? Are you an engineer who loves building, I don't know, AI systems? Are you an engineer who's passionate about customer, UX design, right? What is it that, what is kind of your value add, and what is it that you want to be known for when someone comes to your profile? Because remember, whether we like it or not, first impressions matter. And this is the first thing someone sees when they come to your profile. So how do you want to define yourself on LinkedIn? Just to clarify, we place this on our banner. Place what on your banner? The headline? So you have your banner. So for example, here, right, the banner is where it's a speaker, entrepreneur, podcaster. That's the banner, right? Like having some type of photo. It just makes your profile look polished. Then you have your photo here, and then your headline is underneath, right? Sharing the secrets to college, speaker, podcast host. All right, we're going to move on to the next section just for the sake of time. And you can always work on this after the session. So no worries about that. So let's talk a little bit about the about summary. I know we mentioned Allison's profile previously, and you all said that's a lot of text. However, your about summary should be dynamic and engaging, and it should tell your story, right? You want to keep it conversational and include a human element because people want to connect with real people. And if you have a story on your summary, or maybe you share an experience or an accomplishment or something that you're really proud of, that could really set you apart from another person's profile who may have similar skills, similar experience, right? That could really help set you apart. So I want you to remember to be strategic. For example, if you are a front-end engineer and you're looking for front-end roles, definitely want to talk about your experience using JavaScript or front-end, web design, web development. Again, these are all keywords as well that can help with optimize your profile, right? So as you can see here, James on the right, he has a pretty long, robust about summary. But if you actually read through it, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but if you actually read through it, it's a pretty interesting story, right? He says, first and foremost, I love writing code. Ever since I started my first program in Python and manipulating it, I've been obsessed with the idea of using software to solve practical problems. Then he talks about his first professional contract and the experience he gained there. And then last but not least, what I like the most about James's about summary, besides the first section where he talks about his passion for coding in the first place, where that came from, is his skills and interests, right? He has his skills very clearly stated in his about summary. And again, I want you to also think about your about summary as another place where you can, number one, tell people who you are and tell your story, something you're not able to do on your resume, right? You can really, really align with your skills and your experience and accomplishments in your about summary. And secondly, it's a great place to use keywords, to really use those keywords that you want to be found for. So as you can see, another thing I'd recommend is if you have specific tech stack skills that you really want to demonstrate and show, you can actually bullet point them the way Allison had on her profile, or you can have them kind of written in this way, like James has at the bottom where it says skills, right? JavaScript, Node, React, Redux. He has all his skills very clearly stated there. So anyone coming to his profile can see that very clearly. Again, the about summary is not for your friends or people that you're cool with on LinkedIn. Your about summary is to really stand out to recruiters and hiring managers. Here are some tips about the about summary. So use the first person I. Do not talk about yourself in third person. You just kind of look like a jerk if you do that. So don't do that. Say I, right? Start with a hook. That's something I recommend because when you go to a profile, you only see the first 3 lines of the about summary. So you want to hook someone so that they want to continue reading and learning more about you. Share your value, right? What have you accomplished in alignment with the work that maybe you want to do? Again, this is your opportunity to tell your story. This is not your resume. Include relevant keywords. Include a call to action. That's something I also recommend at the end of your about summary. So you could say something like, if you'd like to, learn more, if you have opportunities you think I'd be a good fit for, you can email me at, and then maybe put your personal email address. And again, keep it conversational, right? This is your profile. This is your opportunity to show some of your personality. What's a good example of a hook? So James is a good example, right? First and foremost, I love writing code. Ever since writing my first program in Python and manipulating it to produce a desired output, I've been obsessed with the idea of using software and solve practical problems. So a hook could be something like, let me see if I have another example here that you can see. Allison, I like to solve problems. Throughout my career, I've been driven by my intellectual curiosity to find answers to the most pressing questions, right? Just something that you think will help you stand out. So maybe something like, hey, my passion for coding started when I was in elementary school and I got my first, computer and I learned how to play Oregon Trail, right? Something like anything that you want to share that may help you really stand out. and something that you think would be interesting to read about. Cool. So I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. Again, I don't expect you to finish this in this session. This is more just to kind of get you started and seeing like what a good about summary looks like. But essentially, I would say aim for 2 to 3 paragraphs. And I know that sounds long, but I'm telling you, it will really help you stand out, especially if you're on the job search. And it will let people know, like, let's say, for example, I think it's really helpful for people who are transitioning careers, right? So, say you were, okay, one of my previous engineers, he was an accountant for 15 years before he transitioned into becoming a front end engineer. And in his about summary, he talks a lot about how being an accountant and what he learned there, how that shaped him and made him actually go into engineering, how he decided he really liked, user experience, and he really liked working with customers. And he has this, very unique viewpoint coming from an accounting background to now accounting and business development to now being in front end engineering. So he was able to kind of tell his story instead of feeling like, okay, this has nothing to do with engineering. No one's going to give me a chance, right? So it's, again, your opportunity to tell your story how you want to tell it. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. Again, I don't expect you to finish at all. I know it's a lot of information, but I want you to at least maybe start thinking of an outline, right? What do I want to talk about in your about section? I'll give you a few more minutes before we head on. Yes, so I would say, actually, let me put the tips back. Definitely want to use first person I statements. What about a portfolio? Yeah, I'll show you where you can add that information. You can definitely include your portfolio on your LinkedIn profile, but it wouldn't be in your about summary. If you make your own site and you have portfolios of projects that you want to show, you can actually add that into the featured section on LinkedIn. There's a featured section where you can add links, photos, articles, documents, anything that you really want to feature on your LinkedIn profile. Anne says, wondering how much does a summary overlap with what you would include in it? It can be very similar to what you include in a cover letter. So what I generally tell my clients, especially the engineers that I work with, so I help them a lot with their tell me about yourself pitch and how they want to really tell their story when they first meet a recruiter or whoever it is that's interviewing them. I actually tell them to repurpose that tell me about yourself pitch for their about summary, maybe add a little bit more detail, but they can totally use the same pitch as they would for a tell me about yourself question for the about summary, which is probably similar to what you'd write in a cover letter. And just so you know, for roles, especially engineering roles, if they're asking for a cover letter, most likely 95% of the time, they're not going to read it. It's just a formality. Okay. So again, I'm going to move on just because we do have other slides to go over. But does anyone else have questions about the about summary? Oh, wow. Hillary already wrote hers. Nice. I like that. Great. I would say, Hillary, that looks great. Maybe also put in bullet points what your specialties or your skills are. No problem, Hillary. I'm glad that you shared. Tuba said, is it all right to go into technical details? What do you mean by technical details? Like a project that you worked on and you're going to be really specific? Totally, that's totally fine. But again, just be strategic, right? Make sure that you're using language that recruiters can understand, because a lot of recruiters are not engineers. Remember that? So maybe don't get too nitty gritty because they may not understand what that means. But if you want to maybe generalize it a little bit more and use keywords you think recruiters would be looking for, like the tech stacks, maybe years of experience, maybe web words like web development or leading teams or senior engineer, things like that. Okay. Cool. I'm going to move on to experience. So your experience section, again, this is not like your resume. So for those here who think that LinkedIn is like your resume, it's not. Your resume is sort of a snapshot of your LinkedIn. That's how I like to think about it. So your experience section is another opportunity to write a lot of content and actually give details and use keywords. Like the experience section on LinkedIn is a great opportunity to really optimize your profile for specific keywords. So for example, title. If you had a really specific title at a company that no one knows what it means, it's like a very, very, very specific role that nobody else would understand, I recommend that you pick something that's a little bit more recognizable. You can change it, right? Update it so people understand what your actual role was. Dates, you don't have to necessarily have the months. The years are okay on LinkedIn. Description, and now this is the part that's really, really important, right? Be strategic. Use keywords that you want to be found for on your profile. Use action words. If you were the senior engineer lead, team lead, who did you work with, right? What was your team responsible for? What were you responsible for on the team? Are there any metrics that you would want to share? Any accomplishments to mention while you were working there? Anything that will really help you stand out and show that you are a valuable employee. Somebody wrote, are you specifically saying most recruiters won't read the cover letter there on LinkedIn or in general? I'm saying most recruiters won't read the cover letter when you apply. Not on LinkedIn, just in general when you apply. Especially for technical roles. So Erica says, my experiences are all in the legal field. What can I do with the experience section since I don't have any development experience yet? Okay, I love this question. So whether or not you worked in engineering or not, experience is experience, right? So there's a lot of skills that I'm sure you gained in the legal field, whether you were an attorney or whatever you did, that are transferable. For example, you're able to meet project deadlines, you're able to work collaboratively, you're able to maybe be client facing, you're able to, maybe lead a project, right? There's a lot of things that are transferable to another role. The about summary is your opportunity to talk about what made you want to go from legal to tech and to tell that story. And you do have, I'm sure, experience in engineering or development. Maybe you've built certain projects. Maybe you have a GitHub where you have all your projects. Maybe you helped a friend with their website. Whatever it is, right? You do have experience. Maybe it just wasn't full-time or paid, but it's still valid experience. So definitely put your legal background, because it also gives you a unique perspective. Because what if you work for, I don't know, what if you end up working for a tech company that works, a legal tech company, right? Or government tech? You have that background, right? You have that advantage over an engineer who's never worked in legal. I'm going to give you some time to update your experience section, but again, just remember to be descriptive. This is not like your resume. You have an unlimited amount of space on your LinkedIn profile. Unlike your resume where you have to keep it to one page, your LinkedIn profile can be many, many pages, right? There's no limit to your LinkedIn profile. But definitely include any keywords that you really want to be found for. That's another area of your profile where you can use those keywords. Any questions about the experience section? How can we determine what keywords to use? Good question. So Lynn, I would say, for example, if your last role was in front end engineering, right? You definitely want to mention some of the tech stacks that you used when you were in that job. You may even want to mention things like, UX design, web development, just keywords that you think recruiters would be looking for, right? Maybe even like something like team lead or customer, maybe client facing roles, customer support. Maybe you work directly with the customer. Maybe you helped with business development. Maybe your product, whatever you were building, helped with the business development and increased sales by 30% or whatever. Like those kind of things you want to include in your experience section. Someone said part-time contract. Oh, should we specify the type of job? Definitely. I think LinkedIn does ask you to specify. You can totally put down if it was a part-time role, was a contract role. That's very acceptable. That's okay. See, Stephanie, similar to LinkedIn, or noting months important. Nope, you don't have to necessarily have your months for LinkedIn, just the years. No, resume, you're going to want to have months just for LinkedIn. Remember, LinkedIn is more of like a living, breathing document. Your resume is a snapshot of it. And your resume has to be very, very, very specific. Whereas LinkedIn, you have more opportunity to give more detail and give more of your story. Your resume is just the shortened version of it. All right, I'm going to move forward. Next thing to think about, your skills and endorsements. Again, this is another opportunity to be found for keywords. You are allowed to have up to 50 skills on your LinkedIn profile. And you can ask people for endorsements as well. So for example, again, if you're a front-end engineer, maybe some of the skills you'll want to have is JavaScript, React, web design, web development, right? Those are some of the skills you want on your profile. As you can see on the example on the right, this person has product management and they've been endorsed, right? They have entrepreneurship, software development. Think about the keywords you want to be found for. Be strategic. Oh, good question. Divya says, can you add a personal project or open source projects in the experience section? Yeah, so the projects, I would recommend adding it to the featured section. There should be underneath your about summary, there should be a featured section. And if there's not, you may have to add it to your profile by going to that top section and adding like going to the top section, edit profile, and you can add a featured section. That's where you would want to include any articles, maybe projects, maybe you have a website you developed and you want to show it. Maybe you have a specific GitHub account you want to link so people can look at your previous projects. That's where you can put it. Maybe you wrote an article about, who knows, back-end engineering or whatever. You can host all of that information under your featured section. I'm going to give you a few minutes. I want you to just add some skills. I would say add at least 20. think about 20 skills that you have that you would want to add on your profile. That can go from project management to customer support, to software development, to back-end development, right? Certain tech stacks that you want to show, maybe web design. Jacqueline, thanks for running this panel. What would you recommend for recent college grads that don't have a lot of post-grad experience? Yeah, so for college grads, definitely if you had any internships, include those in your past work experience. And if you don't have a lot of post-grad experience, I'm assuming you're on the job search, definitely if you can include any of your projects on your featured section, I would recommend doing that. And if you want more experience, there are plenty of ways to get experience. For example, number one, you could go to Fiverr, right? Sign up on Fiverr or Upwork and do independent projects for people looking for websites. People are always looking for people to build websites for them, things like that. You could volunteer. Maybe you have a friend or an organization that could use some help with their technical, who knows, the technical side of their website, or maybe you have a friend who's starting a business and needs help building something, right? You can always volunteer some of your skills and build your portfolio at the same time. All right, let me give you another minute or so. Featured section and accomplishment section. I believe that's the same. The accomplishments is more publications, like the way that Dylan had it. The featured sections is what actually shows up on your profile. Like the actual photo of it will show up. So it's a lot more, in my opinion, it's a lot more eye-opening, eye-catching. So for example, let me go to my profile. And I'll actually add my LinkedIn in here as well if you guys have any additional questions or want to just reach out to me at some point. But for example, on my LinkedIn profile, so I can just show you guys. My computer is really slow today. I don't know what is going on. When it finally decides to load, I'll just show you how you can place your articles and your publications on your featured section. Wow, I don't know why my internet is really slow. Just give it a minute to load. Okay, there it goes. All right. Comcast. All right, so for example, once it loads, it should be underneath the about summary, right? So you have your about summary here. Featured, right? So these are the things that I want people to see when they come to my profile to really round out my profile. So these are some events that I've done in the past, optimizing your LinkedIn profile events. I do a lot of events about the job search. So just things that you would really want to feature on your profile to help you stand out. I would recommend putting it in your featured section. So if you have like a GitHub account and you have some really great projects, I recommend you can add it as a link in here to really make your profile stand out. Cool. All right, and last but not least, this is the LinkedIn checklist. If you want to screenshot this, Also, if you want to add me on LinkedIn, I just put my LinkedIn in the chat. So if you want to screenshot this, just to keep yourself in order, like all the things you should have to have an all-star profile. Do you have a good photo, right? Does my headline reflect what I do? Does my about section describe my profession, right? Does it show my story, right? Do I describe my professional experiences? Do I have at least 5 relevant skills? I would say at least 20, to be honest. I should update that. Do I have at least 100 connections, right? You want to make sure that you show that you're using the platform. So make sure you use the platform. The more you use the platform, the more higher you will be in SEO searches on LinkedIn. Also, when your profile gets marked as an all-star profile, you can be viewed 40% more than a profile that is not deemed as an all-star profile. That's the way LinkedIn works. The more you use the platform, the higher you'll perform on these searches that the recruiters are doing on the back end, right? So you can even do things like people's posts, reshare things, comment on things. Doing things like that, actually like being active on the platform, will increase your chances of being found by recruiters. Awesome. Is it bad practice to list future cloud engineer in my headline? Or should I just stick to my present title, future cloud engineer? I would say, if you want to say future cloud engineer, that's okay, but also put, what other things you want to be found for, right? So future cloud engineer, what is your current role? Maybe a few tech stacks that you'd want to be known for. Awesome. All right. Well, I hope that this session was helpful. Again, your document, your LinkedIn is a living, breathing document. You can always continuously update it. Don't feel like you need to have it all done today, right? Just work on it little by little. Whenever you have a new accomplishment or a new project that you want to show, you can always add it to the featured section. But definitely, I recommend continuing to work on your about summary and being specific with your professional experiences, because those are all great opportunities to be searched for specific keywords you want to be found for. When entering a job, should you add freelance or contract description? Freelance or contract description? I'm not sure what that means, but I hope this was helpful. I think you should just put freelance. Freelance is okay. It shows that you take contract work, right? So that should be helpful. And as I mentioned before, please connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to give you tips. Or if you're like, hey, Christina, can you take a final look at my profile or something like that? Feel free to connect. And I'm happy to give you guys some suggestions. And other than that, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day and that you all get the jobs that you deserve. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Christina. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.